welcome back to another episode with Pixel Web. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about the decision by WordPress to delay the disclosure of a major zero-day vulnerability that was found in a previous version of WordPress, but that was fixed in the 4.7.2 release, but the disclosure of the bug was delayed. And let's find out why they did that. All right, so I wrote an article on my website, pixelweb.com. So if you want to read the article, you can take a look at that there. I'll leave a link in the disclosure. And pretty much it talks about the delay disclosure, how it was dealt with, and the reason why they chose to delay it for 1 week. A quick explanation from the WordPress team. Aaron Campbell states, who's a WordPress core maintainer, stated, "It is our stance that the security issues should always be disclosed. In this case, we intentionally delayed disclosing the issue by 1 week to ensure the safety of millions of additional WordPress websites." All right, so how was this vulnerability identified? Who identified it? The person that identified the security issue is named Marc-Alexandre Montpas. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. This is where you can find him online, but he is a security researcher with Sucuri. So Sucuri, if you're not familiar with, you should be. They provide website security for a bunch of different types of projects, one of them being WordPress. So they identified the security issue, and they practice what's called responsible disclosure, where they inform the WordPress team so that way a security fix can be added to the platform. All right, if you want to get more details about the disclosure and the bug itself, you can head over to the Sucuri blog, and I'll leave a link to that in the description section below. But it talks about some of the technical aspects of the bug, how it enabled privileged escalation, what was potentially possible if somebody gained access to this bug, where they can inject code, they can inject ads, they can do an SEO, spam campaign, things of that nature. And then it goes into more of the details into how the actual bug worked before the latest release of the 4.7.2 release. All right, so this is a very detailed article here. You definitely want to take a look at it. And if you look at the actual announcement of the disclosure by the WordPress team, you'll find it here in this URL, and then I'll also leave a link to it down below. Pretty much they talk about the unauthorized privilege escalation vulnerability in the REST API endpoint in the previous version of WordPress, and with the REST API plugin, was never vulnerable to this. All right, previous versions of WordPress prior to the 4.7 release were not vulnerable to this. All right, so they do believe in transparency, so they wanted to release the information, but they wanted to give people the opportunity to update their websites to the latest version, so that way hackers wouldn't be able to take advantage of this exploit. And as noted by some of these security vendors, it doesn't seem that anyone was able to exploit this vulnerability. As you see here in the announcements on Wednesday afternoon, most of the hosts we worked with had protections in place. Data from all four web application firewall services and WordPress hosts shown no indication that the vulnerability had been exploited in the wild. As a result, they made the decision to delay disclosure of this particular issue to give time for automatic updates to run and ensure as many users as possible were protected before the issue was made public. All right, so what does this mean? Is the WordPress REST API good to use, not good to use? What should you do with it? Well, like anything new, it might have some bugs in it that need to be taken care of, or any kinks that need to be ironed out. It is something that adds a significant amount of functionality and features to WordPress, and it's pretty much the future of how WordPress will function, and something that is good for WordPress. But like anything new, they identify any issues, and WordPress, being a responsible platform that they are very quick once notified of a security issue, they resolve it as soon as possible. And then they release the updates to every WordPress owner, website owner, and also disclose of it. That's the key thing here, the disclosure. WordPress is an open source platform, which means that anyone can analyze the code. You can take a look at it, see, what is taking place under the hood, and determine if something needs to be resolved. And then you can share that information with the team at WordPress, and then it'll be taken care of. Some other closed systems may not do that. They might find an issue and they'll fix it behind the scenes, but they may never let the public know that the issue ever existed. So just because you don't hear of an issue with a particular platform doesn't mean the issues don't exist. And that's why I like using WordPress, because of their open source project, their commitment to open source projects, and to open disclosure and responsible disclosure. That gives me the trust I need as a web developer to continue to use WordPress as the platform of choice. They're definitely committed to, to the open source community. And also the fact that a lot of people like Sucuri, definitely check their website out. They're committed to WordPress, and a lot of people are really analyzing, the core files and, what's taking place with, various attacks around the world and against the platform, and how to better protect websites from these attacks. So, with companies like Sucuri, with teams like those behind the WordPress core, and with other companies that are committed to protecting websites like WordFence or iThemes or others, you can rest assured the WordPress platform is a good one to use to power your website. So this delayed disclosure, some people might be concerned of why did they take a week, to let the world know of this vulnerability. Well, they needed to. I definitely wouldn't want a hacker to know about the vulnerability before someone has a chance to update their website, because that means they would have been vulnerable to a known attack. So I think that this delayed disclosure was responsible, and I think that the explanation that the WordPress team gave makes perfect sense. All right, so I'm sure you already have at this point updated your website to the 4.7.2 release. Most websites should have the automatic update feature set up for these security releases. So you should have been updated, but if you haven't, just head over to your dashboard and check for updates and apply any updates. What you should also do is make sure you scan your website to see if there's anything that changed recently with your site. You can scan your site with a scanner that they have, that Sucuri has, is sitecheck.sucuri.net, and I'll put a link to that down below as well. You just put in your website URL here, and you scan the website, and it'll tell you if there's any issues with your site. And also other vendors like WordFence and iThemes also have scanners built into their platforms to determine if your website has any changes to it that you did not create or that you may not be aware of. So definitely check those out. Scan your site to make sure it's fine and make sure it's up to date. All right, so hopefully you found this episode helpful. If you did, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave your comments down below, and make sure you stay tuned for the next episode. We're going to be giving more videos on WordPress security tips, maintenance tips, and ways to optimize your website to keep it performing well. All right, again, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care.